For me, I was thinking, fuck, if you had access to these drugs and you were like competing in CrossFit or you were like any sport, I did not get sore when I was training. I would do sets where I'm like, I'm going to get sore here. I haven't squatted in like 2 weeks properly. It's not sore.
That's crazy.
Because you're trying to train hard and you're like, I'm going to be sore tomorrow. Like, I'm going to feel like I trained hard. No DOMs. Yeah, I basically 2 weeks in, I'd say I probably got the peak of the effects. Yeah, maybe like 6, 7, 8 weeks. And then there was probably a slight diminishing of the effects towards the end. Like a little bit of pain came back in the ankle. I definitely had a massive increase in energy from the HGH because as it stimulated more testosterone.
So would you do it again?
So I rolled my ankle pretty bad. It was a grade 2 sprain, which is 1 grade below rupturing your ligaments. And I'd improved a lot in the rehab. I was back walking, but the pain was still quite significant. So much so that some days if I was walking and the pain hit, which I would say when I say some days, every day, I would have to sit down on the sidewalk and move my ankle, which is annoying, right? If you're like in a rush, you're going to the gym from the train station, you got an appointment in 10 minutes, you got to be there. And like you're trying to walk and hustle and then your ankle just basically gives out and you're sitting down in like the middle of the city with like cars going by, people in suits, and you're like trying to stretch your ankle out. People coming over to you, they're like, are you okay?
And
Do
you're meant
you
to
need
be
help?
a fitness freak as well.
Yeah, you got like a locker room on. It looks ridiculous. So I was getting quite frustrating. And yeah, and then I was like reading about some of the effects, and most of the stuff I was reading is like, oh, look, at 3 or 4 weeks, you'll probably notice like you feel like you're recovering better from training and maybe your skin looks better. And then maybe at like later in the cycle at like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, you'll start noticing body composition changes. So the body composition changes for these particular drugs were very like mild. So you would not take these drugs to like get more jacked or like look leaner unless you were ramping up the dose. But peptides are like the most expensive way to go about doing that.
Yeah.
But what I noticed after 2 weeks was the pain in my ankle completely disappeared.
Wow.
Which was like...
That is crazy.
Yeah, which is...
2 weeks.
Which is if you've ever taken like a really strong anti-inflammatory drug and you've had chronic pain in a joint and then you take this drug and it's like, the pain is gone. Like it feels like a miracle. It was the same feeling.
But it's not masking the pain.
No, it's healed healed the tissues. Yeah. Since coming off, so if it got to 0 pain, I was like, since coming off, it's gone back to like a 1.
Wow.
But yeah, the fact that it healed up that quick is like incredible. So I could see the benefits for this for like injury back to playtime if you're an athlete. That's more beneficial than body composition.
But it's not allowed. So you can't. Yeah, you can't take it for injuries.
Body composition, like there's so many ways you can improve body composition through food, through training, through sleep. There's not that many ways to improve injuries that dramatically. You know what I mean? So for me, I was thinking, fuck, if you had access to these drugs and you were like competing in CrossFit or you were like competing in powerlifting or, you know, any sport and you had a lot of tissue damage on a regular basis, your capacity to train, I did not get sore when I was training. And I would do sets where I'm like, I'm going to get sore here. I haven't squatted in like 2 weeks properly. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go do like 80 for like a set of tempo and do like 5 sets. It's not sore.
That's crazy.
Like you feel like you're training hard. Like you feel you got a pump in your legs and you're like, oh, your muscles are quivering and stuff. But the next day, no soreness, 0 soreness, no DOMs. Because you're trying to train hard and you're like, I'm going to be sore tomorrow. Like I'm going to feel like I trained hard. No DOMs. Wow. It's like instant healing. It's like a Wolverine. Yeah, I should have.
Okay, and then and that basically stayed the same for the 10 weeks.
Yeah. I basically 2 weeks in, I'd say I probably got the peak of the effects. Yeah, maybe like 6, 7, 8 weeks, and then there was probably a slight diminishing of the effects towards the end. Like a little bit of pain came back in the ankle, and then I definitely had a massive increase in energy from the HGH because as it stimulated more testosterone. One of the side effects of one of the effects of testosterone is energy. Yeah. So like as you have more test, you have more energy. And that's one thing I felt as I came off HCG and my natural levels dipped. I definitely felt a dip in my energy for sure. Okay. So like from a productivity standpoint, I'd just be injecting HCG because that shit gives you like all day energy naturally from like your own testosterone.